Do you want to know what it is? The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind. Unfortunately, no one can be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Follow me.
And now, the H. What does the H stand for? I played that video for you because I wanted you to have a warning. Once you take the red pill, you can't return to the dream state. Once you awaken to the reality, you can't return to the fantasy. The thing that Morpheus offers Neo is not to make his life better, but he just offers him simply the truth. Sure, reality is truer, richer, more authentic, but the dream, let's face it, it's easier to live with, to put up with. The over-functioning of cognitive dissonance keeps you asleep and lets you live in a dream world without doing much for caring or worrying about anybody else. So turn back now if you want to stay asleep. The answer to the question, what does the H stand for, has to do with the reason you and I are still here. The reason Neo reaches out and takes the red pill rather than the blue one. What is it that is calling us to go deeper? What is it, this inner searching that we feel? Why do we feel at times that our souls are thirsty? The searching, the calling, the thirst, and the depth are what it means to be human. The H stands for human. 81 times in the gospel message, Jesus calls himself the Son of Man, the human one. And in the ancient world, gods were distant, but this God comes among us as one of us, not indifferent, not on high, but turning the understanding of divinity on its head. God becomes skin and bone and flesh and blood and stumbling vulnerability. He's betrayed by his friends. He weeps for loved ones. He celebrates. He heals by touching. He has family issues. He suffers a political failure that ends in his execution. Here is Jesus in his very human moments in the gospel lesson. Matthew chapter 26, verses 42 through 50. He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if it is not possible for this cup to be taken away unless I drink it, may your will be done." When he came back, he again found them sleeping because their eyes were heavy. So he left them and went away once more and prayed the third time, saying the same thing. Then he returned to the disciples and said to them, Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour has come, and the Son of Man is delivered into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us go. Here comes my betrayer. Why did they let him down? By falling asleep. Twice. All he asked was that they keep watch and pray. In his most human moments, his friends let him down, and then he was led away to be killed. These are some of the bad days, and it's all a part of what it means to be human. Jesus lived them, and we live them. This too is a liberation for us, because by blessing what it means to be human, we're able to call out injustices, to look at things that are not what they should be and recognize them as such. Son of Man. Jesus refers to himself as the Son of Man 81 times in the Gospels. The human one. The God that Jesus, the human one, the Christ represents, is not the God necessarily of the winners. Not the God who needs to be first. Not the mighty conqueror. No. This God is found in the loss and the pain and the suffering, in the human vulnerability, in what is real. Not in the ivory palaces on high, but the dirt, sweat, grit, pain, injustice, and suffering that come with just being human. This God takes what is lost and wrecked and a mess and a disaster and brings something beautiful and new and unexpected. Jesus, the human one, comes to tell us that it is good to be human. And part of his whole message is that it is good to be human. Part of his existence tells us that it's good to be human. For Rob Bell, in his podcast, this is why the series he wrote resonates so much with me. He paints a picture from the Gospels of a Jesus that I want to follow. Jesus came to show us that our humanness is a good thing. The good, the bad, and everything in between. Where we are from, where we are going, what we look like, what we can and cannot do, how we treat each other, what we think about God, all of it is what it means to be human, the seeking, the searching. God is here in the midst of the messes and the celebrations, the wanderings and the homecomings, the pain of loss and the joy of increased blessing, birth and death, victory and defeat. Nothing is reserved from God's presence and touch. I can say this because it is what Jesus went around doing, touching to heal, eating with sinners, gathering friends around him, providing for what was ever needed. And then, when his time came, he faltered, if just for a moment, and asked if he be spared. And we can look at that and know that he loves us. But I don't have to tell you, because you know that already. Jesus loves me. This I know. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loved me. The Bible, the good news, the gospel tells me so. And that's why we call it the good news. The good news tells us when we are in that scene where Jesus is motivated by heroic and simple acts of love, when he heals the paralytic whose friends lower him down through the roof. The good news tells us so in the way that Jesus taught them to pray, that God is ordering the whole household to bring justice and blessing to our humanity. The good news tells us so in the story of his love for Lazarus, his friend, and in the story of crossing to the other side of the lake to bring a message of mercy to people who were under the boot of oppression. The good news tells us so when he teaches us to embrace who we are, because the whole thing is a temple. The good news tells us so when he instructs us to love our enemies, because he has no thems. The good news tells us so by the example of the woman that wasted all that expensive perfume on him so that we would do the same to others. The good news tells us so whether we are the older son or the younger prodigal come home, because we are all already at the party. Jesus offers us the truth, not what will make us have a better life, Jesus doesn't promise to pay all our bills or shield us from disease and unhappiness. Jesus offers us the salvation through the truth, the waking up to the reality that God is in the world, loving things by becoming them, inviting us to embrace our humanity as we follow the human one. And just like in the clip, if we choose the red pill, we go with the truth. Jesus does promise to go with us and to be with us, even to the ends of the earth.